Hey, John here again. So I got this 2019 Commander X XT series, and we're going to put a stereo in it. The fellow that owns this wants some music, and this thing's pretty noisy. I'm curious to see how the stereo goes, but he bought a new panel that I'm looking at here, and we're going to have to replace it, I guess. I don't know what's involved, but the first thing is taking this thing apart, and it's just two screws up here, and there's one of those plastic clips there, one on the other side. You gotta take this screw out here and get this, and what was it, two things back here. I just did them, and this thing will lift right off. I think we need to put this in neutral or something, and this will lift right out of there, get that grip off. This is a two-piece unit. You could buy this this faceplate here to accept this Boss radio, and Boss speakers went wired today, and this little Garmin fella fits in here for navigation. So that's looks pretty simple. I guess we'll get to it right away. Like I said, taking this apart, I already took the screws out, and this piece is loose now. I think you gotta put the glove box down. So taking the two screws on the top and plastic pins, I think I pointed out earlier, and then we get to all this, just unplug all this crap and plug the new one in. So this looks it's going to be pretty easy. It's just a matter of wiring everything. And this thing, we already loosened this up. I thought we did. So that comes off. I'm putting this in neutral. I think that just lifts. Yeah. So pretty easy so far. All right, so far it's wicked easy. Just unplugging everything from the back. These are just squeeze pins, all them connectors, real simple to get out. And this one here is just unscrew it here, and that unplugs there. That cigarette lighter, and the ignition was plugged into here, so we the start button. So just unplug it there, unscrew it from your hole. Real simple stuff. So now all we got is the connectors, and that'll be easy to swap. You just push these tabs, and they pop right out, and Dave's gonna pop them in, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright, so putting this thing in, it's a no-brainer. We'll feed the wires through and set this in here. And how this works, so this little bracket here will bolt on to the back side here, right? And then this from the back side will push up against here. I can't believe that's going to hold, but that's what they're doing. So basically it's going to be braced like that, just against it, and we'll see how that looks, because there's no direct holes to bolt it to the dash. So having that just a pressure fit, it'll just squeeze it against the plastic, and that should work. So the hole here is for a universal deal, and it won't, you can slip it in, but the casing won't fit flush, so we're going to have to trim that out. And it looks like there's a line, maybe it's a break off piece, I don't know. We'll take a look. I'll get a tool in there and see what we can do, but we just have to be careful not to, actually it doesn't matter, because we can bend these in and get it perfect there. So there's a closer look. It won't make it, those little tits that are sticking down, it won't make it slide down. So I think we're just going to trim them start with that, trim them little tits off and see if that'll poke in. Alright, so after taking a Dremel with a wood barrel, sandpaper deal, just going around there, took a few tries, but it's a good pressure fit now, and that rubber ring kind of just seals right in there. Let me put this down, I'll show you. So that's in it, and it's pretty sealed. It's pressure fitted in there pretty good. It won't fall out, but I'm going to add that, obviously, put that bracket on there and secure it, but it won't go anywhere, just because I kept shaving a little off at a time. That's all it was. Just a matter of it didn't quite go to the inner ring, but as you can see, it's as round as I can get it with a little tool like that. The Dremel with that sanding disc on it, or sanding drum. Alright, and you can see that bracket just goes over the back, and then there's two posts there, put the nuts on there, and it just pressure fits. It just squeezes it against the collar there. But as you can see, it's just fitting on there, but that's why it's pressure fitted to exact hole. I didn't want any slop in there just in case, but this ain't going nowhere, so that'll work. Alright, so what we did with the speakers is put them up in the corners. They're kind of facing inward, and then ran a wire. You can see here, just use the existing clamps for the back window, right, and then followed, let me get a light. Yeah, that's better. So we followed the wire down, tucked it in here, and then just kept going along and finding little spots to zip tie it, and then we eventually came to the middle on both sides, and now we're inside underneath, and here's the wires here. So it's pretty simple to do, just kept feeding it through. We actually went underneath this shifter here. There's plenty of space, as you can see the wires there, and got the wires up there. Next up is we're going to wire this thing, see if it works. Alright, so these can go on any switch, so unless you took a picture on exactly how this looks now, you might run into a pickle like we did, but it's kind of easy to figure out as far as, well, right now you got the white one and the green one orientated, and the green one was the winch, and the white one is the four-wheel drive, and that was the second position. So the lights are on the end here, but if you do get confused, because we got confused on these two here, you could just plug them in, turn the key on, and see what operates. Look at your dash for sport mode or whatever, so you can figure it out. But it's probably best to take an exact picture of the way this is. But see how these are crossed? But that's the way it was, and you can tell now if that's the way they were formed. But so, anyways, just throwing it out there. Pay attention to how these come off, because you might be getting a little pickle later. Alright, so all I did is spliced two wires through ground and the power off the cigarette lighter for power and ground. And then the stereo, we're just going to use the yellow for power and the black for ground, but you also need this red wire for accessory. They do have to be together, wired together, otherwise it won't work without the accessory on. And in this way, when you turn the key on, the stereo will be on, but when you turn the key off, the stereo will be off. Alright, so we ended up having to put this together, this two-piece unit. It's just one screw and plastic inserts, and so we couldn't do it afterwards, and it kind of created a little bit of space issue, but we got through it. So we just tapped into the cigarette lighter for both the stereo, power and ground, and this little Garmin charger deal, power and ground, and of course the speaker wire. So it's pretty simple to do. Just got 4 speaker wires and the power and ground. Unless you are going to use like the USB connection, and there's a remote connection, there's other, like a 1/8 inch jack, there's other things you can do, but we're just going to use the simple stereo with the Bluetooth for music. And the Garmin is just because they did have some other wires for this piece too, but we're just using the power and ground, so you set your Garmin in here so it'll charge while you're going down the road. And that's all we got. So before I put this bolt this last piece on, we're just going to see if the wiring is good and see if this thing creates some noise. Alright, there you have it. Everything's buttoned back up, everything's tight, the consoles are put back on, and I guess I could show you it works and how it sounds, but you're not going to hear it, the way you hear it in live. But so we'll do that next. Alright, so let's turn this on, see what happens. Lights, camera. So I got it slaved to some music, and it should pick it right up. Well, that's my phone, so it's probably got a looks like it's connected. Alright, so I'd like to play it more, but there's a YouTube copyright infringement, so don't want to get in trouble. We'll just leave it at that. And as far as the Boss radio and the speakers go, I don't know how much they cost. I'll try to look it up on Amazon. The guy that owns the machine bought everything, the faceplate and everything. I think he bought through Amazon. I'll try to find some part numbers for you. But other than that, this thing, we took it for a spin and got some RPMs up. You can hear it really well, so it works out really good. As far as longevity goes, when you get this thing all muddy and stuff, it's pretty sealed in there. And of course, if you used heat shrink, wire connectors, make everything waterproof, this should be fine. The speakers were mounted, and they're pretty rugged. They're sealed too, and only time will tell. See if this thing will last, but it does sound good. And that's all we got. Thanks for watching. See you next time.